the list of topics that we want to discuss in the Homeschooling 101 series. And extramurals and sports always come up with families, knowing should we do, how much should we do, how can our children do sports and extramurals, and we're going to touch on all of those, and then some cautions and some encouragements. So let's start off with maybe giving cameos from our own life. How did you approach the issue of sports and extramurals?
Yeah, well, we did what most home educating families have to do, is we had to enroll our children in private clubs or private classes to learn the sports or dance that they wanted to take part in. And generally it worked pretty well. You know, our kids had good opportunities, they had good coaching, they did well enough, and it was very good for them. I think sport is something I always recommend because it teaches children self-discipline. You know, just getting yourself ready and getting there on time takes time management. Keeping all your sport equipment ready for the next time you go teaches them to look after their stuff. And then, of course, if there's any kind of competition or scoring, it's very good for teaching children good sportsmanship and learning to be humble when you win and accept when you lose gracefully. There's so many good lessons, and how to handle cheaters. You know, some of my kids got so upset when their opponents cheated, and it was a brilliant opportunity to teach them about character and guarding your own integrity and the long-term consequences of that kind of behavior. So many good lessons. It's really, really good to, you know, invest in those opportunities for your children. What about you?
Yeah, our kids weren't really interested in team sports. You know, there was a bit of tennis here and whatever, but they got really into sort of more off the beaten track kind of things, you know, downhill mountain biking and horse riding and that sort of thing. But yeah, I think that the purpose of extramurals and sport is not to overdo them, particularly not in your first year as a homeschooler, because you're already trying to grapple with this new role that you've taken on in facilitating your children's education and making sure that you can juggle your housekeeping and your other relationships, as well as you know, the actual homeschooling part of it. And then to now add in something every single afternoon, in a way, trying to keep up with the Joneses, I think you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot, but it is good, and quite rightly so. I remember the whole issue with cheating coming up with our kids as well. And that was even just in Playboy when they were little guys, you know, they were, oh,
Yeah.
because their foot was over the ring or whatever it was. So, you know, fantastic ways to teach character to issues, like you say, but don't overdo it. Just because your little girl twirls around in the lounge once doesn't mean they've got to be rushed off to ballet at 4 years of age. And because your son enjoys kicking a soccer ball or hitting a tennis ball against a garage door, doesn't mean that they have to, at very tender ages, be rushed into sport. There's so many other things that you can do in a home-based environment. So with that being said, what do you think is a good measure for a mom? Am I doing too much? Am I doing too little in the space of extramurals and sports?
I think you've always got to decide if you're feeling overwhelmed by being the mom who's got to taxi kids to all these events. And then the other thing is your budget, you know, with the caution that you've given of not overdoing it. There's the other side of it, that when kids are little, it's a wonderful time to give them the opportunity to try things out, because you never know which things are going to stick. And so, you know, let try things for a term and then change to something else if they don't like it, or, you know, don't feel that you have to stick to something just when they're little. But yeah, I think those were the things that that restrained us from doing too much, is that especially with many children, you can't afford everybody doing all kinds of different activities. So, you know, some things we just did socially or casually on our own as a family or with other families, but each of them, we tried to give them an opportunity to take one sport. And then in different seasons, different children had other opportunities. You know, in one season, some of them did music and some of them did dance, but it wasn't all the time. So yeah, I think you've just got to be sensible in whatever season you are in.
For sure. And not to actually diminish the family-based activities. You know, depending on where you live, there is a host of things to do, whether it's hiking in the mountain or kayaking or learning to sup or boogie board. We boogie boarded for a couple of years. It was so much fun, because, and also with homeschooling, you can start at any time of the day. So, you know, if the waves are perfect and the wind is down, I mean, you can hit Muizenberg Beach at 6:30 in the morning and be at your school desk by 9. So you have those flexibilities within a family to do that as well. The issue that a lot of parents have, particularly those who've excelled in sports at school, and particularly team sports like your cricket and rugby and soccer, that is a concern often for dads. They are like, where's my children going to learn how to be part of a team? And I think that every dad enjoys standing on the sideline of a cricket pitch, maybe some moms too, and or a rugby field, and shouting for their kids and shouting for their team. Private rugby clubs, private soccer clubs, private cricket clubs, all of those are options. And even these days, many schools are allowing children to homeschool children to take part, generally the private schools and that sort of thing. But we've always had a caution around those sort of team sports that kind of have a cult following. Would you like to share that?
Yeah, I've once or twice encountered, like you say, dads in particular, that were concerned that their kids were missing out on this team sport and that sense of belonging. And I realized as a home educator that our children aren't in a peer-based environment. They actually should and do get their sense of belonging and their sense of identity from being in the family.
Yeah.
And the family is the team that they belong to and learn to cooperate and share and work together. And that identity shouldn't be based in a sport, you know, that I'm popular because I'm a rugby guy, or I'm popular because I'm good at cricket, or whatever it is. It's, I should know who I am because I am this person in this family, and, you know, I know who I am. I think that's a healthier way to have self-esteem.
Wonderful. I think that's a good note to finish on.